outstanding and unique qualifications to serve as federal judges, whether it be as judges or advocates. Each of you bring the necessary and important experience to the federal judiciary. Mr. Moody, we'll start with you. Can you speak to what experiences you've had over the course of your career that make you feel most qualified to serve in the position in which you've been nominated? And then we'll go all the way down to Justice Chamberlain.
Thank you, Senator. I grew up in the courtroom. I was born on my dad's first day of his last semester in law school. I remember watching him try cases at a very young age. I remember working as a runner in his law firm and deciding I wanted to be not just a lawyer, but a litigator in the courtroom at a very young age. And after 17 years in private practice and trying cases in federal and state courts, appearing in federal and state courts across the country, I feel like I was born to do this, Senator, and serve the public and my country in a manner that I feel like God has set me on a path to be back in the courtroom, but for a lifetime appointment serving the public and a country that's given me so much, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator, to echo Mr. Moody's comments, I was also raised by a lawyer, and he taught me at an early age the important aspects of justice. As I said, riding to schools those mornings, we were listening to trial lawyers lecture, and I've taken that with me. I've been very blessed to have my own legal career kind of based on his shoulders. For the past 16 years, I've served as a judge on our state's highest courts, and I've had the ability to decide basically every aspect of criminal and civil case. I've been around some excellent mentors on both the state Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals. But to truly get down to answer your question, what kind of separates me and uniquely qualifies me to serve in this role is the fact that I've been a federal prosecutor in the Northern District of Mississippi. And it's where I cut my teeth as a lawyer. I learned a lot of lessons from the judges there, some tremendous judges. Neil Biggers, Alan Pepper, Glenn Davidson, Mike Mills. I learned lessons and also took a lot of lumps. And that is a part of the experience. We've heard a lot of questions about policy, about the Constitution, but what it gets down to as a judge is when you walk in that courtroom, can you not only call balls and strikes, like we have always heard the analogy from Chief Justice Roberts, but can you have a consistent strike zone for all the parties? What's a strike for one lawyer or one party can't be a ball for another. And I can submit to this committee that if I'm confirmed to this position, it would be like coming home to that federal family in the Northern District of Mississippi. Thank
you. Justice Lewis.
Senator, I come from a background where I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. We came from a meager background. And when I go to court, especially in the early years of my legal profession, I saw myself in a lot of clients that came through there. Not necessarily the criminal ones, but just in general. And that's one of the things that really has shaped my legal career. I believe that, and my judicial philosophy, I believe that everybody that comes into that court deserves to have their voice heard, regardless of where they are on the issues, regardless of where they come from, regardless of what they look like, regardless of who they are. I pretty much spent just about every minute of my legal career as an attorney in the courtroom. I practiced in civil litigation, I practiced in criminal litigation, I practiced as a prosecutor, defense attorney, I handled civil rights cases, I handled civil cases. I've practiced in 3 states, and so I've got a broad background that I bring with me to this potential judgeship. But then also those experiences as a lawyer factored into the way I handled myself and carried myself as a judge. As a circuit judge, my circuit was one of the busiest circuits in the state of Alabama. I handled pretty much more cases in my circuit as any circuit judge in the state based on our caseload. And what that taught me was to manage dockets efficiently, but also to make sure that everybody did have their voice heard. When I went to the appellate level, it was much different because then I was in a position where I was able to be analytical. I was able to research cases. It also gave me the opportunity to see how other judges in the state did things, what worked, what didn't, and how they treated people as well. And then when I became a Supreme Court justice, the focus shift. Of course, I was still working on trying to get a consensus. As a trial court judge, what I say goes, and if you don't like it, appeal, right? But then as an appellate judge, you've got to get a consensus. You've got to get other folks to gravitate to your issues. At least you have to try to. And that helped hone my skills in being analytical with legal arguments and things of that nature. And also, as a Supreme Court justice, we're dealing more with state and even, to an extent, federal policy. And so I have a broad background on every level of the legal profession, and I believe that will be very beneficial if I am to be confirmed as a judicial nominee.
Thank you. Mr. LaCour.
Thank you, Senator Britt. I've been fortunate in my career to get to cover a broad array of legal issues in a broad array of venues, from the Northern District of California to the Southern District of New York, from the middle and northern districts of Alabama all the way up to the United States Supreme Court, litigating nearly every one of the Bill of Rights and many other issues as well. And I think that's given me a good experience in terms of being able to get a new issue, get up to speed quickly, try to get the right answer, and then move on. And I think that's a really important skill for a judge to have, to be able to master an area of the law quickly so they can provide justice both by getting to the answer that the law demands, but also getting an answer to the parties before you quickly so they can either appeal or move on with their lives. And so that's something that I hope to be able to bring, is a degree of skill and then a lot of hard work to the bench if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed.
Thank you. Justice Chamberlain.
Senator, first, I hope I'm not out of line if I correct a terrible omission from earlier today. I did not mention my father, who passed away in December, and his 91st birthday would have been on Labor Day. He would have been so proud today. To answer your question, I did not grow up the child of a lawyer. My father was a truck driver. My mother worked an assembly line. My earliest legal influences were Perry Mason and Ben Matlock.
I like it.
But my father and mother instilled a sense of the necessity of education in us, and I'm happy to have obviously attained a law degree. My experience that most prepares me for this job is that I served 12 years as a circuit court judge. That's the trial judge level for the state courts in the state of Mississippi. I've run a courtroom. I've run a docket. I know the appropriate judicial temperament. I know the appropriate judicial demeanor. And I would hope to be able to bring those to the job if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed.
Thank you very much. I am out of time, but the beauty of being the chair is you get to take more time. So I'm going to come right back across just very quickly, if you don't mind answering. What qualities do you have that you find important for a federal judge to aspire to and that you hope to emulate on the federal bench? And many of you may have referenced this in your previous answer, which is fine for you to reference back to that. But we'll start with you, Justice Chamberlain.
As a U.S. District Court judge nominee and for a U.S. District Court position, first would be with any judicial position, integrity. I think integrity is about as important as it gets. Of course, a dedication to the law and an appropriate, for reasons I did just mention, appropriate judicial demeanor and appropriate judicial temperament.
Excellent. Mr. LaCour.
So I'd like to think that I've learned from my former boss, Chief Judge Pryor, the value of, as I mentioned before, hard work. He recently served, or was commemorated for serving 20 years on the 11th Circuit, and several of his colleagues had commented in the Alabama Law Review that there were few judges as hardworking as him. Now, he's well known as a sharp legal analyst, and I hope I can be the same, but in terms of just getting opinions out the door, again, getting justice to the parties, something that I've admired and hope to emulate.
Thank you. Justice Lewis.
Yes, Senator. Work ethic and integrity is what I think is the primary characteristic of a judge. I believe that my long legal career has taught me that most people, regardless of where they are on the issue, when they leave a courtroom, it's my job as a judge to make sure that they know that the system has worked, maybe not in their favor, but in the fact that they have had their day in court, have had their say, and feel like the system is working for them. And I think Senator Moody touched on it a little bit. The perception of the judiciary is in a state that concerns me. And I believe that as a district judge, it's our role as being on the federal level that has the most access to the public to instill that confidence in everyone that this system works for everyone. Whether it be a traffic ticket or capital murder litigation, which I've been involved in on numerous occasions as well, at the end of the day, that person needs to feel like the system is there to hear them and make them feel like they are a part of this country.
Justice Maxwell.
Senator, I believe that integrity is paramount. Respect for the litigants before you is extremely important, and another quality that hasn't been mentioned yet is courage. Judges have to have the courage to make difficult decisions. You can't just put your finger in the air and check the pulse of what's going out there with your constituents, because we only really have one constituent, and that's to the law, maybe two, to the Constitution of the United States. And judges cannot push the law where they want it to go, or we all get to the wrong place. We have to follow the law. And if we do that, everyone in this room is going to end up in the right place.
Thank you. And the last word of the day to Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Senator. My colleagues have given excellent answers to this question, and I don't want to repeat any of their attributes. So to give a different one while adopting all of theirs, preparedness, Senator. I've practiced for long enough to know that a lawyer and their client can tell when a judge is not prepared for a hearing or for a trial or for an appearance. I've learned from a lot of great mentors, know what you can control, and I teach my young litigation associates that you can control your level of preparedness when you walk into a courtroom. And that's something that I've tried to do every single time I set foot in the courtroom is make sure I'm the most prepared. I would take that to the bench, Senator, and instill a level of confidence, not just with the lawyers, but with the parties themselves. This judge is prepared, and the preparedness shows respect, and the preparedness shows integrity, Senator.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moody. Well, thank you all for your time today. Congratulations on your nomination. Congratulations to your families. We are thrilled to have each and every one of you here with us. Thank you to the nominees, obviously, for your testimony today. Written questions for the record may be submitted up until September 10th at 5 p.m., of which the quicker you get back your answers, the faster we get to have an opportunity to put that before the full committee. And with that, thank you again, and this hearing is adjourned.